Hello and welcome to my page. My name is Ariel and this is my Cosmic Corner. So today what we're going to do is do a beginner's workflow on the new Siril release. It just came out. It's 1.4.0 beta 1. Let's get started. And we're going to go to our Siril.org and I will leave that link on my page. And when you get there, we're going to go to the downloads section. As you can see here, downloads. Or you can just click on the button that says downloads, same thing. And here we're going to see, you can see here it already has a version. So what we're going to do there is hit 64-bit version, that's what we want. And you can see here there is a number 2, which means that this has already had some patches. So we're going to hit save. And when that saves, remember it saves on our top right. And once it's done, it's going to flash that it's been downloaded. We're going to go to our little folder here that says show in folder. Once we go to our folder, I got mine under downloads. And what we're going to do here is right click on it and just hit open, or you can double click and hit open. It's going to open up this window protected screen here. That's okay. What we're going to do is hit more info to let it know that it is okay, and we're going to run anyways. Here we're going to pick English and hit OK. I accept and hit next. We want Siril to be our page. We're going to hit next. And then we're going to create shortcut and hit next. Once we hit next, it's just to verify the information and then hit installation. Once this installs, we'll get to that next page. All right, so now that it completed, we got our finishing screen here, and you can launch Siril right from the beginning with this tick there, and we're just going to hit finish. So what this is going to do is open up our Siril application. This is the beginning splash screen. This is normal. This happens anytime we open up the program. You can see it down here at the bottom. All right, so new and exciting, here it is. So when this opens, you can see it says welcome to Siril 1.4 beta. You can see some introduction stuff. And over to the right, you can see how it's downloading everything that we have. And it's going to install other updates and background information. And remember, this may take a few minutes to install and get everything all set. Okay, so down at the bottom, you can see that as it was checking for installed items, it does Python here in Python, and it lets us know that it's up to date. So we're good on that form. So we're going to close this window here, move this over there. And so this is our front new screen for Siril 1.4 beta. And now what we're going to do is go through the normal workflow. Now that we have Siril installed, we're going to grab another component called StarNet. StarNet, if you're not familiar with it, it's what removes the stars from our image. And then we process that, and then we put the stars back in. So let's grab that tool as well. Once you open up your browser, we're going to go to Get StarNet. And here is the link for that. And I shall leave that on my bottom of my page as well. And we're going to go to Download. When we get to Download, we're going to scroll down, not worry about the top stuff here. We're going to go to what we need to install, which is going to be our command line type tool. When we go here, download your appropriate version. We're going to click on this link, the WinZip. We're going to put it in our downloads and hit save. Once that downloads, you can see the downloads here. We're going to, again, open up our little folder. It's going to show us where that is at. We're going to right click on that. And now you're going to hit extract all. Extract all. When you go to extract all, it's going to ask for a destination. For us, I typically put mine straight into the C drive. Just remember wherever you install it, you have to remember where that's at because we're going to put StarNet++, that path, in Siril so that we can use it later. So I put mine in the C drive. I'm going to select that as my folder. I'm going to say extract. And now it's going to extract StarNet to my C drive. Once that is completed, we're just going to close out of this window, minimize our browser, and we're going to reopen up Siril. When you open up Siril, what we're going to do is go to our little hamburger symbols here, and we're going to apply in preferences StarNet++ to our path. So you can see here, miscellaneous, StarNet. I've had it before. I'm going to show you. We're going to go to, again, this is where that path was important. We're going to go here. We're going to go to StarNet, and we're going to grab StarNet++. Okay, StarNet++. We're going to hit open because that is our executable path. And you see here, it does say that you must be pointing to a StarNet executable, which we do. And then we're just going to hit apply. And now you can see here that is updating our working profile to use StarNet++. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is set up our structure files and our home directory. So in order to do that, when I open up my folder here, I go to where I stored all my pictures and calibration frames. So here I have a folder called Astro. In Astro, I have another folder of my object, my DSO object. Here we have our 4 structure files. We have our biases, our darks, our flats, and our lights. These are all going to be part of your structure folders. And this is important. So remember this path as well to where you got to your lights and your deep space object. So what I like to do here is I'm going to copy this path. We're going to minimize this, go into Siril. In Siril, you see this little icon here? This is our home directory. So we want to open that up. And when we open that up, let's pretend we started in the back and you just started. We're going to go to Pictures. You can see the pictures. That's where I'm at. We're going to go to Astro and then our M42. And our M42 is our deep space object name. That's as far as you need to go. And we're going to hit open. That's going to be considered our working directory. Just verify up at the top that you had that structure folder and everything like that in here. Picture, Astro, and I have my M42. And then within my M42, I have all my calibration frames. Now with all the calibration frames and everything completed, now what we're going to do is actually run the script, and we're going to do some processing. In order to do that, we're going to go up to the top here with scripts. And then we have Siril scripts. That's the one we're interested in. You can see that there are others. We want Siril scripts. When you scroll to the right, we're going to go to the one that says OSC processing. This is the one that's going to give us everything that we need for our calibration frames and our lights. So all your biases, darks, flats, and lights. So we're going to click on that and let it run. You can see here, there is now a pop-up that lets you just know, make sure you do, your stuff right. So please read this if you have any issues. If you don't have any issues, you can tick this box that says don't show this again once you've read this, or you can just go over here and just hit run script. Let's hit run script. And then in the console area over to the right, you can see everything's going to start up. Then when it's done, it'll let you know that everything's been processed. So at this point in time, let's pause, and then we'll get back to you as soon as it's done. So the process is finished, And if we take a look at our console tab here, we can see what was done. You can see mine took 18 minutes to do. But then if we scroll up, you can see like all the stuff that it stacked. And each process, when it ends, it'll let you know, what it did. So over here, you can see that it took 96 images, it processed, none of them failed, and they all registered. And then down below, you can see here, when it completed the stack, it's all blue, and that means it's final. So let's go to the bottom. You can see everything here that it did. Now that everything's done, we're going to want to see our results. So in order to see our results, remember we're still in our working directory. All you need to do is go to Open on the left, Open. And we're going to go over here. Remember, this is our working directory. That's where it defaults. So you can see here is our results file. Then you're going to go to the bottom and just hit Open. That's going to give us our results file in a linear state. Linear state, meaning there's nothing done with it. This is just everything after it's been stacked. So down at the bottom here, we have a drop down, and the drop down shows us all different ways that we can see our image. For us, we want to do auto stretch. So that's going to apply a little bit of an auto stretch here. When it applies the auto stretch, you can definitely see some artifacts just from stacking. And what you want to do is you want to get rid of those artifacts. What we're going to do is try to crop this. In order to crop it, let's move our mouse to the top left. This is where I start. You can start anywhere you want. Just remember, you're going to drag this over. So we're going to do a left click to where we think everything's good, minus the artifacts. And then we're going to drag it to the right and make sure that we don't have any artifacts within our crop square. So if everything looks good, we're just going to let go of the button. We're going to right click to get our menu. Then we're going to go to crop and then crop. So crop and then crop. And what that's going to do is remove all the artifacts from our image. Now at this point, as you can see here, we have some gradient, right? A little lighter here, a little darker there. And that's probably just from the moonlight and stuff like that, light pollution. And you want to get rid of this. So in order to get rid of this, you need to do a background extraction. In order to do the background extraction, all you do is go to image processing up here in the top, use the little drop down, and then we're going to go to background extraction. You click on background extraction. So the menu here consists of a couple of things that we like to point out. Sample points per line and your grid tolerance. And sometimes I like to add dither, but it's up to you on that particular point on your image. Just look at your image and determine that if it has banding or no banding. Sometimes this will help. Also too, samples per line. I have 20. That just means how many sample points are going to go on one line. If I hit generate, you can see here that it's got 20 sample points going across. And it does not go, hopefully, within your deep space object. You want to try to eliminate those that are in that particular area. So here, what you could do, say if something was close to your particular area, and you want it gone, you just right-click on that particular sample point. And in the same respect, if I wanted to add one here, I would just left-click, and it will drop one in there. Also, too, if you had multiple ones and you wanted to do it quicker, all you have to do is go towards the middle, double-click, and you can see it gets rid of multiple ones at one time, which is kind of nice. So here, just kind of clean this up a little bit. Also, too, you kind of want to look at your sample points and just make sure that none of them are on an actual star. And then if everything looks proper, what you want to do is hit this button that says Compute Background on the right, Compute Background. So we're going to hit that, and it's going to remove our gradients and hopefully give us a nice flat picture, which it looks like it did there. And so check that out. All this nebulosity over here, Over here, you got the dust. Looks pretty sweet. Over here, there isn't so much. But all of that is now visible because we did our background extraction. If you're happy with this, all you have to do is hit apply and close. So here we'll just hit apply, and it's going to apply that background to it, and it closes. So as you can see there, that is starting to look pretty nice. And remember, still, we're in on auto stretch, right? So now we're going to want to do a color calibration after you do your background extraction. And that is going to bring out the color within the image here. And in order to do that, we need the plate solve. So we're going to go to Tools up at the top, Astrometry, click on that button here, and then you have our image plate solver. When we do this, a couple of things when we do our image plate solving, as you can see here, there is a search mechanism. So if you know your object, all you have to do is type it in here, and according to this catalog, it'll bring up that name, and also too, it'll fill in your rate ascension and declination information. On ours, mine, I have a dedicated astrophotography camera paired up with Nina, and my rate ascension and declination automatically get filled in, and it keeps that data for us. So if I wanted to, I can just go and hit OK now, and everything would automatically plate solve. Also, too, if you didn't have that, so for example, let's type in M42, hit enter, and according to this catalog, it brings it up, and it'll fill in this information for your rate ascension and declination. So the other things that you want to look at is your focal length and your pixel size. That's important in how it can plate solve. Otherwise, you may get errors that it can't plate solve because it's out of the range. Once you have those things filled out, all you have to do is go down here at the bottom. And also, too, just so you know, sometimes it'll flip the image depending on how it goes. And then what we're going to do here is just click OK, and then see if we can get a good result on our plate solving. So the plate solving, as you can see over here, is going to be on your right, under the console tab on the right. And it's going to tell us how close we were to the actual focal length that I have filled in and my pixel size. So here, everything looked like it recorded okay. So now with that being plate solved, now we can go to image processing, color calibration, and then we'll go to our photometric calibration here. When I click on the photometric calibration, I typically just leave this as the defaults, and then I just click OK. You can see here that it's trying to find stars, blah, 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 and it's doing its thing. And you got your status bar at the bottom. Once that's completed, you're going to see that this is going to change. All right, so there it did. It brought out some color. You can see some more red is over here, some highlights. It's starting to look pretty sweet. So if you're happy with that, all you have to do is just hit close. And now you can see your color calibration. Once I do my color calibration, once I do that, I do the image processing up at the top, image processing, remove green noise. And then I move that over. And then here, I just leave this as the defaults on everything that's set and just apply it. And that's going to remove our green noise from our image. And then once you're happy with that and it executes, you're going to close. Now at this point, our image is starting to look pretty good. So what we're going to do now is remove the stars. So let's do our star removal. And in order to do the star removal, don't forget, you do have to have star++ installed, just like I showed you previously in the very beginning. Here in the miscellaneous, and then we got our executable for StarNet. That's important. And then all you need to do there is go right up to image processing. Image processing. We're going to go to star processing. star net removal. Check that there. And then star net removal. These are already pre-selected, which is good because Star++ needs a pre-stretch in order to do it. Down below too, you see a little note there. We do have a valid executable for StarNet. If you didn't, it will let you know that there's none available, and this would be grayed out. But in our case, we're good to go. Now we're going to hit execute. As we execute, just like everything else, underneath our console tab, it starts to log everything that it's doing. And then down below that, we have our status bar as it goes, and it shall finish. So at this point, this does take a while. And so we're going to pause, and then I will be back with you once we're completed. All right, so let's check it out. Here you can see it completed. And over to the right, and let us know that it executed this, and it also completed. So that is good. And the image looks pretty sweet. So at this point, what we're going to do is start doing actual stretching to our linear image. Remember, we still have it at an auto stretch phase here. So we're going to switch it to linear. You can see everything kind of disappears when it goes to linear, right? It's because there's no real stretches applied. So at this point, I'll show you what you need to do. We're going to go up to the top here to image processing, and we're going to go to stretches. We're going to do our @ transformation. That's going to bring up our extra box here that has a stretch factor and black point. So for us, we care about the stretch factor. So for example, if we were to move this out, you can see what it does here, right? And that's what we want to try to do. You want to do your stretch factor until you start to see the nebula. And then what happens there is that you can accept it, right? And hit apply. And then at the next step would be to put a histogram transformation on there. So we're going to hit that and go to histogram transformation. And then we're going to hit that button. This is our gear. So if we look at this, it has a scaling up on the top where you can zoom in. Okay. It has our red, our green, our blue channels. It has, if you want the grids to show, curves, that type of stuff here. And then my little auto button. I love the auto button. So it's very easy, very quick, simple for beginners. So when we look at this, it brought out everything there. And so if you move these, the first one is our black. You can see there, histogram, and then we got our midtones, and then all the way to the right, we have our whites. So for us, you want to try to get right in front of your beginning of your data so nothing gets clipped. As you see there, nothing gets clipped. That's what we want. And then we can move this more towards the middle, darken her up a little bit. And so now you can see here that this is starting to look like a pretty good stretch. And it's starting to bring out some of the dust along the areas over here outside Orion, which is kind of cool. You got the running man. You can almost see the core, but for me, I blew it out because I did too long exposures. But it's not bad. You can still see it, right? So if you're happy with your histogram transformation and you want to apply it, you got to hit apply, and then we're going to hit close. Okay? So that's our histogram transformation. And then the next final step really here is just to go to imaging, color saturation. And if you wanted to bring out some more color, you can. You have the top view here that shows different ways on how you can do just those colors. Or you can hit the global that does everything. So for example, if I move this all the way out, you can see how much it, look at that, how it blew that out, right? Or you can go over here and just hit each one and see what it does. Not too much orange and blues. You can see the colors there. So for this one here, I'm pretty sure that most of it is going to be globally, and we're going to move it to about maybe like 2.5, 2.3, somewhere around there. Also, too, if you wanted to, you can also type 2.5. Let's just do that. Boom, boom. And then I'm pretty happy with the way this looks right now. So at this point, we're just going to hit apply, and we're done with this final picture. Now, at this point, you kind of want to bring the stars back in, right? In order to do that, we have to save this image. So you can see up at the top right here, it says starless results. We want to save that. So all you have to do is hit the button here that says save. All right, so now that we have it saved, the next thing is to put back our stars. So in order to do that, we're going to go to image processing up at the top. And when we go to image processing, we're going to go to star processing and star recomposition. And when we do this, the box that we open up on the left-hand side is going to be our starless image that we just manipulated. On the right-hand side is going to be just our stars. So to bring those in, you need to click on this little folder icon right here. And when that opens up, you can see it's going to our working directory. And our first one's going to be our starless image. We're going to say open. When we open it, you can see it's going to drop it in here on the left. The next one we're going to do is go to the right, and we're going to grab our star mask. And this is going to be the part where it's just our stars. And when that occurs, you can see them here. You have scaling factors here for stretch factors and how much we want that to show, right? So right now we're barely at 0. So for example, if I was to put this to, say, 5 and hit enter, it's going to start processing this, and you can see it's starting to bring back in the stars for our image. And again, if you like it, you can save it, apply it, and we're good to go. Or you can manipulate this to do less. So for example, 2.5, enter, and now that's going to make the stars a little bit smaller. So it's just up to you on which ones you like more, right? You will like it with more stars, less stars, stuff like that. If you are happy, all you have to do is hit apply and then close. And now there it is here. And at this point, this is completed. We're going to go up to the top little drop down area. And then here, what we're going to do is says it's unsaved right now. So I'm just going to say M42, for example, up at the top. Take out all of this and just do M42. Down below on the right-hand side, I'm going to hit that little arrow, and it's going to show me like TIFF files, JPEG files, PNG files. So you can actually save that as a PNG. Boom, take it right over to Facebook if you wanted to, or social media, any of that type of stuff. Or you can save it as a TIFF file, is what I do. And you can actually bring it into Photoshop and manipulate it even more if you wanted to. But again, this is just for beginners. So we're just going to save this as a PNG, hit save. And when it saves that, and over here down below, you can see that it saved our image, and that is it. It's completed. You now can put this image and post it in social media and show all your friends your very first astrophotography from start to end. And so with that being said, as you can see here, this is the end point. So remember, you started off with this, and now you ended up with this. Pretty sweet. So at this point in time, that's it. I hope you guys all have a great day. Catch you on the next one. Please like and subscribe. and so I can continue doing some more of these videos, and I hope you liked it.